starting my journey. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can go ahead. How many of you have completed the hands-on on yesterday's Maven jobs, Maven tasks? Anyone who have completed that part? Let us connect to the instance. So no one have tried the yesterday's jobs, it seems. Anyone? Let's log in. So these are the jobs we have created, right? Compile job, code review job, unit test job, package job, but they are individual and independent. So how to connect them? So these are the 4 jobs. For every job, like let's say this is job 1, job 2, job 3, job 4. These are individual and independent jobs. To connect them, we'll use 2 sections as triggers and post-build actions. What are post-build actions? Post-build action and triggers are like for the first job, trigger can be poll SEM or webhook. And the second job will be, first job will be added as a trigger for this. Means for the second job, job 1 will be the trigger. Like we have trigger section, right? I'll add job 1 as a trigger for this. Post-build action is once this is done, it should start job 3. Similarly, for job 3, trigger will be the job before it. Post-build action would be the job next to it. Similarly, for this job, trigger is job 3. As of now, as it's the last job, there is no post-build action. So using these 2 sections of triggers and post-build actions, we'll connect them using the simple logic. The job before it becomes a trigger, job next to it becomes a post-build action. Using this logic, we will connect them. So let's see. Let us first go to one job, a compile job. And for this job, you can go for configure. And what should be the configure here? Source code management, and then the trigger. What is the trigger? Build after other projects are built. After which project? Actually, I just want to have this webhook. So I'm just leaving it for now. First job, I'll trigger manually. Post build. Once this is done, post build can be used for report generation. It can be used for archiving the results. It can be used for building other projects as compile let's say code review, right? So if you refresh here, you can see the downstream project. Downstream project means next project is code review. Now let's go to code review, edit. So what should be the trigger for code review? Anyone? Which job should trigger code review? What should I select here? Correct? This is the trigger for it. Similarly, post build, build other project. Which job it should build? The next job, which is unit test. So now if you see, upstream is compile, downstream is unit test. Means upstream means job before code review is compile, job next to it is a unit test. Understood this logic, everyone? Got it? Are we good and clear? And then coming to unit test, configure. Build triggers. Build after other projects are built. After which project? After code review, right? And then for unit test, build other project, which is, oh, okay. It might have added here. So it should trigger package, right? So if you see here, so upstream job before it is code review, job next to it is package. And then come to package. Which job should trigger this? Unit test job should trigger this, right? And post build as of now, nothing for now. So only upstream, no downstream because this is the last job. So they were all connected. If you trigger the first job, you could add a webhook, but for now, I'm triggering it manually. So if I trigger this, see, it should, you can see here, compile is executing and code review is in the queue. Do you see that? And in no time, it should get started.
Preeti, if we get some error in first job,
Yeah, tell me.
if we getting some error, suppose in first job, then it the second job will not trigger.
I'll come to that. See here, unit test is being triggered and next job is in queue. Means like, yes, they were triggering in a pipeline one after the other with the configurations of triggers and post build. If you trigger the first job with a webhook or something, it would go on. Now, whenever this job is triggered, it is triggering code review. So let's suppose some job failed, let's say unit test job failed. Will it go to next job or not? That is depending on your configuration. It depends on how you configured it. See here, post build. Post build is next one is this trigger only if the build is stable. Means only if this is successful, then trigger it. So only if it is successful, it will trigger. But there would be some jobs, particularly code review. Code review will not fail the job. It will just show the report. But still, in case if you want to check it, like if you want to check how it is, like you just want to progress even though the report is fine. I mean, report is less percentage cover. You can choose these options. So it depends on how you configure it. As of now, I have configured to proceed with any changes. I mean, with the like whatever changes we have, so it should be working fine this way. Any questions from anyone?
Yes, only a single job can be triggered, or we can multiple job also.
Multiple job. Oh, you want to add a same, you can add it, but it should make some
Suppose
sense.
if in the case of failure, I want to get some email for the failure confirmation,
You can
and if suppose
configure those email notifications. You need to have an SMTP server for it. Using
Okay.
that, yes, you can configure it.
And what about the job, multiple jobs? If some scenario get some two jobs should be triggered on the completion of a single job.
You add here. Like here I have added this one, it is allowed, you are allowed to add here. Code review, comma, unit.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Preeti, could you please tell us once again
Hmm.
how to add these jobs?
How to add?
I mean, could you please repeat these steps once again?
For every job, you have to add a triggers and post build. Triggers is you will select this and write which job should trigger this one. Compile is my first job, so no job is triggering it. And here post build, you will choose the post build action and choose build other projects. Then add whichever project it should trigger. For every job, those are the configurations. And one more thing is, so you are adding a post build or build triggers, right? If you have multiple jobs, you can just add them separated. So that once this particular job is done, those jobs will be triggered. And this is a trigger type of trigger we learned in the earlier classes, right? Like there were different types of triggers, timer trigger, poll SEM, webhook, and then one job triggering another job. This is the scenario, one job triggering another job. Is that making sense? Any questions from anyone?
No, thank you.
Go through the configurations once and let me know. I'll show you a configuration where I have added both build trigger and post build. See here. Here I have added build trigger like this and post build. Those are the things we did today. Just go through it. Any questions from anyone?
So yeah, we are adding that post build and build triggers, right? Is there any sequence that we should follow this, or according to the requirement we'll do this?
According to the requirement, as per the requirement. Sequence in the sense, like I told you, code review is just for analysis purpose. The output of it doesn't depend on the, or else this output is not deciding the next job. So generally code review, then we'll go for unit testing kind of. And as per the requirement, we'll configure it. Are we good? And one more thing is for unit test, we have generated a report, right? Like we have generated that trend report. Similarly, yesterday for code review, do you remember this? It has generated workspace. If you go, it has generated something like code review, target. It has generated this XML, right? So if you want it to generate a code review, you could also do that in the post build. Post build action. PMD is not shown. Let me install a plugin called PMD like we did for JUnit plugin. Of course, JUnit plugin is already there, which is installed by default. Let me install some plugin for PMD. I don't know whether it is available now. In available plugins, you should search. Warnings, plugin violations. The plugin does reports on check style, find bugs. Any other? No PMD check, no PMD verified true. Plugin is deprecated. This means it's no longer being developed. That's okay. Plugin does reports on, collects compiler warnings, issues, and visualizes the result. It has built-in system for many compilers. Let me try out with this violations plugin. Install this. Once this is installed, like for JUnit, we will add this one also. Now, let us go to code review, configure. Please keep muted, everyone. You have to re-listen these videos. Remember, you have to watch out this. If you have those background noise, it wouldn't help you. Please make sure you are on mute unless you have any queries, please. Request everyone to follow. Target. See, it's in the XML file. So added this. And in the workspace, you could see the target pmd.xml. Perfect. Now let me build it. It should generate a good report. It failed, saying that publish JUnit. Oh, is that I have selected? I'm sorry. My bad. Sorry. Let me just remove this. We should select like new option we should see after installing that plugin. Report violations, right? That this is the option because of that plugin. It is looking a bit different. I have used some other plugin, not this one. Just a second. Add a post build report violations plugin is this is how it is. Check style CPD. See, okay, each plugin is given here. Yes, this is PMD. See, you can put some format as well. Okay, let me try out this target.xml, or here we should put 1 minute. This is an optional file name pattern to be used to resolve classes to source files. Okay, it says successful. Let's see. Yeah, see here, PMD report is generated. See violations plugin report. And this is how you see whichever code. This is just standards program mistake detector. So it will tell you, okay, this like whatever we saw yesterday in XML format we have seen. Do you all remember that? So it's showing private static. This is the line that needs a correction kind of. See, it's highlighting those things. Right? So if you keep the cursor, it also tells you avoid unused private fields such as log. Developers will take care of it. Am I making sense? What is this code review task doing? See, useless
Yes.
parameters here. If you keep the cursor, developers may see this if they feel like it's valid, they could go and correct their code. And every code, see, these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 programs are having 3 medium, right? Low, medium, high warnings. So you can just go here. And if you go to every file, it will tell the error. See, unnecessary qualifier, log, stack, something wrong with this. So that's a code review with a trend report in the post build action. Yesterday we missed doing it, but yes. Are we good? Yes, pipeline is also created. Any questions in this part before we go for the next part? I'll just try once the courage job also. Coverage Kobachra is failing yesterday, but just let me give it a try. Is this the branch? Correct? I'm sorry. It's Maven demo. Build step is This failed actually yesterday, but let me give it a try. Cobertura colon cobertura. I'm just billing as individual. I did not connect. We'll connect it. If it is working, we'll connect it. But this will give you an idea. Okay, whatever be the job, that's how you add the goals. It failed as usual, like it failed in the command line. I think the same error. Some plugin issue. Could not find the artifact. Tools dot could not find the artifact tools dot jar. Just a second. Coverage one configure. Did I choose our Maven? Okay. Okay. All right, then let it be. We'll see that. But it's again the same like we have any code review job or anything. So anyway, we have got the pipeline, but the pipeline is not better visible this way. I couldn't see the pipeline better this way, right? I want a pipeline view. So if you want a better view, here you can go for the new view, only list view, my view are there. I want a pipeline view. What should we do if you need any functionality in Jenkins?
Plugins.
Plugin, manage Jenkins, plugins, available plugin, search for pipeline plugin. Pipeline plugin. Build pipeline plugin. See, this is the one. This plugin renders upstream, downstream connected jobs that typically form a pipeline. Now you can see the build pipeline view, let's say DEVOPS view. Build a pipeline view. So here I have given some name. Here you can put some description and choose the first job. If you choose the first job, the tail follows because we have already connected them, right? So on the displayables, you want to see 2 runs or 3 runs. I want to see 2 runs. See, this is the pipeline view, which we were talking about from day one, like first job triggering next job, and this is a pipeline. It shows last 2 runs. Instead of going to each job, if you run here, yes, third and the fourth run, last 2 runs, because I asked to display 2 bills. When it is running, it's in yellow, and the waiting ones will be in blue. One successful, it turns green. If anything failure, it would be red color. These are the different jobs we have. Is this clear for all of you? Are we good?
Yes.
This is the pipeline. CI/CD, of course, it's not complete, just still package we have created. To deploy and all, we have to learn few more tools. We'll come to that part. But this is all about Jenkins, GitHub, Maven integration. Okay, and one more thing is, like, if you go to this job, any job, whenever it's been triggered by another job, like if you go to console, it tells you which job triggered it. Compile jobs, 4th build triggered this. Like you see, started by timer, started by admin, started by poll SCM, started by webhook. So this is another way you see, like when it is being triggered by another job. Right? So this is about your pipelines. So this is just very, very important. Go through the hands-on. It is simple. It's not something which is very complicated. It looks as if, but it's not. If you start the hands-on, you feel like it's not. So just get started. Okay, so this is the thing. Now, before I go on for the next topic, any questions from anyone in this part? Are we good? Any questions from anyone?
No, Preeti, we are good.
Right. So now that we understood the pipeline, here there is another important point we need to look at. Like if you see, where is this compile job running? On which server? On Jenkins server, right? The same EC2 instance. Sorry. Every job is executing on the same Jenkins server, right? So is that the how reality is? Do you think testing, packaging, building, everything happens on a single server? Definitely no. There'll be separate build servers, test servers, deployment servers, and so on. So actually, your job should be running on different servers, not on a single server. This might be on a server too. This might be on some other server. This one on something else, and so on, right? So what do Jenkins do then? Jenkins, the server wherever Jenkins is called as Jenkins master, right? And you run the jobs on different machines, which are called as slaves or nodes or agents, whatever you call it, right? So you run the job on different machines. This concept is called master slave concept in Jenkins, or distributed bills in Jenkins, or distributed architecture in Jenkins, whatever you call it. We don't run any jobs on Jenkins master generally. Why? For very clear reasons. One is to share the load. You can't just put everything on Jenkins server. Also, we would just put Jenkins as a dedicated server to run Jenkins. That's all. First of all, the UI or the Jenkins service should be running, right? So we will have it as a dedicated server. We will not run any jobs there. That's the first reason, to share the load. Second reason is, in this case, in my case, as of now, Jenkins masters Linux. Means Jenkins is installed on Linux. You could have Jenkins installed on Windows as well. You could have it on any operating system. But let's say I want to do some test job on Windows. How is that possible? Right? To have different environments again, we will be running them on a different machines. So Jenkins master would be a dedicated server, and you run the jobs on different machines, which are remote slaves or nodes or agents, whatever you call them. So this is the actual concept. So you delegate the jobs to different machines, irrespective of where they are running. Like I have shown you, this might be on server 2, server 3, and so on. Still the pipeline remains same. After executing the job on server 2, it will trigger code review, which will run on server 3. Then it will trigger unit test, which runs on server 4. Pipeline, concepts, how you create job, everything remains same except a small checkbox. Using that checkbox, you will divert the jobs to different machines, right? First of all, but before that, first of all, we need to have a another server and connect it with master. We will do this connectivity in a same way like we did for our SSH connection. Do you remember that? We made an SSH connection between two servers. The same way we will connect them via SSH and then delegate a job onto that machine. So shall we get started? Let's have another machine, connect Jenkins master to that machine, and let's run a job on that machine. Simple. Let's begin now. This is the Jenkins master, okay, whichever is Jenkins. We shouldn't run any job there. So let me start another instance. Let me call it as slave 1. You could have multiple slaves, obviously, like each job could be on a different machine, or all jobs can be on a separate machine, whatever it is. So Amazon Linux 2, T2 micro. I'm using the same key pair, which is AWS, and rest of the things are default. Now we need to open an SSH connection between these two machines. So we need to have a common user on both the machines, and that's how we progress. We used EC2 user earlier, right? Now we'll use some other user and do that. First, let me connect to master. This is the master machine. Here on the master, or else from the machine, from wherever you want to connect. This is like a SSH client machine. Create a user. If user is there, you may use EC2 user or whatever, but I'm just creating a separate user and password for this. Done. Now this user should be added in the sudoers file to run any commands. This file should be modified carefully. See, already EC2 user is added, I think like we did some time back, right? So that's why EC2 user is already there. But anyway, I'm creating a new one so that user one can run all commands without prompting for password. Okay, and done. This is added. Now restart SHD on this machine. SHD will be there by default on all the machines. Restart it. That's all on the master. Now let's connect to the slave. This is not slave. We have to make it a slave. This is the one. Let's go here. Let me launch a new tab. This is the slave. To identify this easily, I'm just changing the slave color. Okay, this is the slave. So that you could identify what we are doing on slave. Okay, here also, let's create that user one. User, add user one. Password for this user one. Type this. Done. And then here, like we learned, on all EC2 instances, password authentication would be disabled. We need to enable it. We learned all of this. What is this password authentication and all? If you haven't, please request you to visit the Linux session where we have covered SH concept. We are doing SH based authentication, but still for the first time, password authentication should be enabled. So that's commented out for security reason. Enable it. Comment the authentication set to no line. Done. As we made this change, restart SHD. System typo, system CTO. Perfect. So now both the machines are ready with the user. Now let's go to the master. Master is like a client from where I have to open a connection. So generate the key pair as which user? User one. So switch as user one. So I'm user one now. SSH key generate the key pair. Then SSH copy ID -i user one @ private IP of the instance. This is the private IP of the slave machine. Password. This is how we have enabled it. Done. It says now you can SSH into this machine this way. Simple. Right? See, we are logged in onto this machine. This is not a Jenkins server. It doesn't have Jenkins. By the way, remember, you don't need to install Jenkins here just to make sure there is no Jenkins. Jenkins service couldn't be found. We will not install Jenkins on the slaves. Slaves will not have Jenkins running. It will just have the connectivity. That's it. Okay, now slave is connected via SSH. How do you run the job there? Let's go now. To run the job on the slaves, that slave should be added first. Come to manage Jenkins. Nodes. Here you can see add, remove, control, monitor various nodes that Jenkins runs jobs on. This is where you can add the node. I'm giving the name as slave one so that I can identify. Permanent agent means all those configurations will be saved. Remote root directory is like a workspace. See, when job is running on master, the home directory is where it has got its workspace, right? Similarly, whichever machine the job is run, there also it will create a workspace, right? The job folder should be there. So where you want to have that workspace, I'm just giving that as TMP. You could give any path of your choice on that machine. Labels. Labels are like tags to identify your slave. Here I'm going to add this as a label. Any label of your choice, user defined. This is for identification. Then comes usage. If I select use this node as much as possible, means every job will give preference to run on this machine. But I don't want. What I want is, I want to choose, okay, build job should go to slave 1. Test job should go to slave 3, kind of. So if you want that kind of configuration, you should choose this. Only build jobs with label expression matching. Means now I'm going to connect it in such a way that build, okay, code review will go to slave 1. Package will go to slave 2. I will do that with this label. So you will tie the job with the label. That's a usage. Launch method. There are different ways to connect. Preferable method is SSH, which we are also using. Host IP address. Whichever you want to connect is the host, that machine's private IP. And then credentials, like we have got the credentials user 1, right, to connect. So add them. Actually, you don't see anything here. You have to add it. Add Jenkins credential store will be launched. This is where you will store all the credentials as we progress. Username and password type. So username is user1, password is user1, ID is any ID. I'm just giving as SH user. So those are needed, right, for it to connect. So now you would see it in the drop down. Select it. Host key verification. Already I have added that. So manually trusted. I have already added that, like verified that. So these are the configurations. Any questions you have? Number of executors are nothing but number of programs you have allocated on that machine to run the job. Generally 1 vCPU for each job. So if you want to run parallelly 3 jobs, you could see 3, but 3 vCPUs should be available on your machine to allow that. I just need 1 job running at a time, and also I have only 1 vCPU. This is enough. If you have bigger instances and if you want to run parallel builds, then you may allocate more executors. Remote root directory, labels, usage, launch method. Just go through them and let me know if you have any question on these parameters.
Preeti,
Mm.
slave are just only creation of jobs. Suppose if we required any plugin, then where it should be installed on the main Jenkins server or here on the slave.
I'll come to that part. Is this much clear? Because I need to
Yes.
navigate to the other page to explain that. So if
Oh,
everyone is clear, I'll go to that part. Is this much clear for all of you? Silence will be considered as clear, no queries. And also availability, keep this node as much as online possible so that it would be taking up the jobs. I saved the configuration. First, we need to connect. I'll come to your question, Pradeep, in a while, okay?
okay, no
Come.
issue.
See, this is offline because failed to launch the agent, right? You have added it, but it couldn't launch the agent. It clearly says that install Java on that machine. Java should be there on the slave machine also for it to connect. So let us install Java on that machine. Let's go to the slave. This is the slave. So let me install Java 11. This is master. I'm just coming out as a 7. Now I am on the master. This is Jenkins master. Already as such connection is open. So I have installed Java. Exiting on user command. I think it doesn't went well. Let's wait. Confirm it. Okay, it is installed. Now what you can do is just come here, launch it again. Now you should see success. Yeah, do you see agent successfully connected? So it's successfully connected on this Jenkins page. Here you can see yes, but no projects are tied to the slave. You can add the projects, means jobs. So coming to that, let's see how to add a job. But before that, answering a question from Pradeep, like any plugins you are installing are going to be installed on Jenkins master, right? Plugins are for like let's say I want to see a view. So it's on the UI. Similarly, I want to see a trend report. That's where we install a plugin. That is also for the UI, right? Plugins will be installed on the Jenkins master, not on the slaves. Okay. Also, if you remember on the Jenkins master, I have shown you where all your plugins goes in the home directory of Jenkins. Where live Jenkins. This is the home directory. This is where you have all the plugins installed if you could recollect. So plugins have nothing to do with the slave. This facilitate when you install a plugin here, it will facilitate that particular action. That's all. We don't need to install them on slave. See, on slave, Jenkins is not at all there. So no point of plugins there. Okay. Now let's say I want to run this unit test job on the slave. Any job you pick up, go to configure. Here, if you go to configure, yeah, here there's option if you see restrict where this project can be run. Till now, we did not select it, so it is just going on the default machine master. But let's say I want to run this on a slave. Select it. See, it will ask for the label. That's what I told you. Labels are powerful. They will help you for identification. So add the label. Now I have tied. See, it matches one node. This label is filtering one node. There could be multiple nodes. So the job could be running on those multiple slaves, right? Whichever is available. So one node identified. Now unit test will go to slave 1. Irrespective of the pipeline. Pipeline still remains same. Let me trigger the whole pipeline and see where unit test will run. How do you see where any job is running? In the beginning itself, you can see building on built-in node. Built-in node means Jenkins master and this is the workspace. That's where you can see where it is running. Let's see for unit test also. I think it's not yet triggered. Let's wait. Code review is going on. The point is, irrespective of where they're running, the pipeline still works the same. Only that small checkbox will do. And it should be creating a workspace in the TMP folder. We will see all of that. So now unit test should be started. Let's go there. See, it started and it failed. We'll come there why it failed. See, started by this job. And if you just scroll down, yes. Building remotely on slave 1. Do you see that? All of you? That's how you identify where it is running. Also workspace under TMP because I have given TMP should be the workspace. And it says it's trying to clone there, but because Git is not there, it is failing. Correct? Now let us go there and install Git so that first let's go to the workspace. TMP. Okay, what are all the tools needed? Yesterday we learned. To run these maven commands, what are all the tools needed on this server? No one want to respond.
Git, JDK, Java.
Git, Java, maven should be there, right?
Yeah,
We have
correct.
Git is not there. Of course, Java we just now installed. So Java is there, okay. Git is not there. Maven is not there, right? So if you go to workspace, here is the folder created, same name of the job, but it couldn't clone, so nothing there. So let us install Git. Install Git. Now let us, you may rerun the entire pipeline so that, or else run this individual job. I'm rerunning the entire, see when it is failed, it's shown as red. Last run, this is the new run started. Because it failed, it doesn't navigate through the next part because I selected, go to the next job and this is stable. So it just pipeline got interrupted there. Now let's see the next run. Code review is happening. But Maven is not there. It should fail again, right? Maven is not there. Let's see what happens. Okay. So unit test, let's go there. Console output. Yeah, it has cloned. See, running in this workspace, running on Linux slave. And Maven is installed. Why? Maven is installed. See, Maven is not there, but it doesn't fail. See, unpacking this Maven. And under tools, there is a tools directory created on slave 1 this time. See, this is the slave. So if you go to the TMP folder, tools directory is created. This is where Maven. Why this happened? Why Maven is installed like this? Any idea? And this Maven is used. Why? See, it has cloned and it will generate the report. Everything will go on now. Yes, it is successful. You can check the workspace reports there, or you could also check here, target, surefire reports, the reports in XML and this. Also, we should see a trend report because it's configured now, right? But then how is Maven installed? If you can recollect yesterday's class, or if you have completed your hands-on, you know that very well. We have done this tool configurations. Java, we didn't do, it's using from the server. Git also from the server, just mentioned it. That's why it checked on the server because it's not there. It's a manual installer. Java and Git, we are using manual installations on the server because we didn't select these checkboxes. But for Maven, if you remember, we selected this checkbox. Means even on slave also it will install it and use that. Understood? Why
Yes.
Maven is working? If you want Git also, you might have done that. Install automatically and choose some installer. Okay, the shell command or do it. Then it will use Git also, like without your manual installation. Java also you can do that. Like go for here, install automatically, choose some versions. You could do that, but I'm using it from the manual. I just want to show you both manual install tools, Jenkins install tools, so that you will see both of the ways, both the ways. So this is the master slave concept or distributed bills in Jenkins. Similarly, you could do for every job. You may put multiple jobs on the same slave for a learning purpose, or if you want to practice, you can create separate 3 or 4 servers and run them everything on a different slave. It's up to you. You can leverage that. Got the concept clear? Any questions from anyone?
What is the benefit to create the slabs? Because we all the things we can do in the master also. Then what is the benefit? Because
Can
we
you
have to
please
install
answer this question?
Java.
See here,
Sorry.
these are the benefits. We just discussed, right? Benefits of using slave. You can't put all the load
Load
on
balance. Okay.
balancing the load. Just now we discussed. You can't put all the load on the master. You can't, master is a Linux machine in my case. Your slave could be any machine. It could be Windows or Linux, anything. In my case, I just use Linux. You can have Windows slave also. So to have different environments, to share the load, these are the reasons to have a slaves. Master node will be a dedicated server just to manage the Jenkins. We shouldn't put any load, means you shouldn't run any jobs. Ideally, we don't run anything on master.
Okay.
Any more questions? So 4 jobs are created and this is the pipeline. Imagine your pipeline have 20 jobs. Isn't it so difficult or cumbersome to connect each job with other, creating build triggers, post build, see the sequences set? It again becomes a tedious task, right? So when you have too many jobs, when the pipelines need custom configurations, rather than going this way, like creating the jobs this way, manually from the UI is also a task, isn't it? You have to create 20 jobs. Imagine you have to create 20 jobs and you have to connect each of them with the triggers and post build and see the sequence is set properly. So instead of doing that, there comes another concept called pipeline as a code concept. Means you will create only one job, right? You will use pipeline as a code concept, which will create the entire pipeline. That is the advanced concept, and that's a concept we use in reality. We don't create pipelines this way. We will create it with a Jenkins file using pipeline as a code concept. This we'll do in some cases, like where you have some jobs where you have to trigger them as a routine kind of, very rare. But real CI/CD pipelines will be created with a Jenkins file using the pipeline as code concept. So we will get started with it in the next class, which is a far advanced topic. You might be having a question, if that is the thing, why did we learn all of this? You need to learn this. Like I said, yes, there are certain scenarios where you use this very less percentage, but not for CI/CD. But still, then why did we learn? You need to know these basics to get into that pipeline as a code concept. These are the basics or the structure on which you develop the pipeline with a Jenkins file. You need to have these fundas clear and you should be strong here to get into that. That's why we covered this. Here we have done SSH communication wise, but we have option to use agent based between master and node. In case of Windows slave, SSH will not work, right? So we need to rely on agent based communication. See, if it is a slave, sorry, if it is a Windows, let's go to the slave. Configure means edit the configurations. So if it is a Windows, we'll use this one. Agent by connecting it to the controller, means master, or else execution of the command from the, we could use any of them, but that's not so widely used. Like we don't connect to Windows generally, we'll use SSH. Or else if you have SSH enabled on Windows also, we can use this same method. Your slave could be of any operating system, irrespective of the operating system of master. So today we have covered two things: connecting the jobs and creating a pipeline on the UI, like freestyle jobs, creating a pipeline with the freestyle jobs, and then master slave concept or distributed bills. Even distributed bills is an advanced concept. We will use the same in the pipeline as a code also. So you should know these things before you get into the pipeline as a code. Any more questions from anyone? Any questions on anything on Jenkins covered till now?
No, Preeti, not from my side.
Actually, today we didn't learn creating the jobs, which is covered yesterday. Today we just connected them. So segregate the things this way. First, focus on creating a job, then focus on connecting the job. That's how you should also focus. That makes your learning easy. Let me write it here so that This is how it should look. Once again. I'm sorry. So let me just first focus on, or else first let me go from Maven. First understand Maven. Okay, install Maven and run the Maven commands on the server like we did. That's how we also did. Then learn creating Jenkins, like Maven job and Jenkins. Right? Then, like if you know one job, you'll create all of them, then connect the jobs. Okay. Once you are done, yes, you'll have the pipeline. Getting a view is not so difficult. You can just install the plugin and see that view. So once the jobs are connected, a pipeline is created. Then focus on remote machine, like running a job on remote. So first you need to connect it via SSH, then add the node on Jenkins. Like on Jenkins page, you have to add it and tie the job. This is how you can segregate from the last two classes. This is how you should get started.
Preeti, SSH is the only way to connect between Linux servers, or do we have any other options?
Like there are other options, right? But SSH is a secure way to connect. But
Okay.
there are other ways as well. Like you go to the slave, you can see other methods here. I have chosen SSH. Connecting to the controller via execution of command on the controller. You run some command on the master to connect to it.
Yeah, okay.
Launch method, again, it's a different. Focus on SH1, that is enough.
Okay.
We have learn until package. Does Maven will have central repository like Git or Docker? Just asking if we develop any tool. Did not understand the question, Surya. We have learn until package. Does Maven will have central repository like Git or Docker's? Just asking if we develop any tool. Can you elaborate, Surya, or can you unmute?
Preeti, so if we go through this entire process, we done the compiling, and then we did the test, and right after that package in stages manner, right?
Yeah.
So let's say we're using the source code, we develop all these things, and the end product would be some sort of software or something where the development team
That
will,
file
yeah,
is the one we
yeah.
generate.
Does it maintain any repository or something where others
I
can?
mean, to store this artifact, to store this WAR file. Is that your question?
Yeah, yeah. Is it
Okay.
a central repository kind of thing for every developers we maintain?
Okay. So this, yes, this is called the artifact, which would be generated for every run, right? Like you run 6 times, 6 artifacts would be generated. Right? You could
Yeah.
also store them. Yes, there is a storage place for this artifact repositories. Yes, where they'll be uploaded and users or any other developers can download the artifact from there and use it for various purposes. Even for deployment, we download from there and use it. So yes, those artifact stores we have so many as such like Nexus, we have JFrog, all of them where this artifact could be published. We are covering
Yes.
JFrog. We'll discuss that in the next sessions. That's
Sure.
what. After this, we
Yeah.
will put it in Artifactory, then we'll containerize it. Many things are coming up. We'll see.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions from anyone? Do the hands-on, post your queries in the WhatsApp group, whatever we have, we will resolve it there, or still if you have questions, you can get back to the class tomorrow, right? I would like to stop here. We'll take pipeline as a code and the next things in the tomorrow's class. Good day. Bye, everyone. Thank you all.